Good morning, Mount Pleasant Elementary School students. This is Rosie. We just got her. She's super excited because today we are going to be drawing a winter fox in a landscape. Very cool, right? This week we're going to be using the art elements of line, shape, color, texture, form, a little bit, value, and space. Mainly value and space. If you have a different way that you want to do the background, you totally can, or you can follow along with this video because we're going to be doing ombre, kind of a sunset, and we're going to be learning how to blend our crayons colors. So, Rosie's excited too. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a pencil and eraser, some white paper, you're going to need some crayons, some markers, you're going to need some heart to put in your art. So go ahead and hit the pause button and gather your supplies. The first direction is always the same. Pick up your pencil and write your name because no name, no fame. I'm going to be holding my paper the tall way, but if you want to hold yours the horizontal or the long way, you totally can. It is up to you. Go ahead and flip it like a pancake and get ready to draw. Go ahead and try to find the middle of your paper. And in the middle of your paper, I want you to draw a circle. This is going to be about the size of a dime. Then we're going to use two curved lines that are coming outside of the circle. We're going to connect them with a flattened out rainbow line. It's going to be part of your fox's head. We're going to connect some lines from the nose to the outside of our kind of football shape because this is where the white part of the fox's fur is. You can go ahead and draw eyes. I'm going to make my eyes closed, but if you have a different way you want to draw your eyes, go ahead and do that. We're going to do some ears by using S lines and then a little mimic of those in the inside too. That part will be white, the white fur in its ears. The next part is going to be curved lines that go almost to the bottom of your page, but not quite. So you're going to curve those lines down and stop. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. This next part's a little tricky. We're going to use an S line to make a fox's tail. It's going to connect and go a little bit farther on the right side, and then you're going to jump up just a hair and you're going to make that line go around and connect to the point on the other side. So those are kind of wavier lines. We're going to stop doing that by adding just a zigzag line for the fur. Part's going to be the white part of the fur. We're also going to do a zigzag line from the head all the way down to the tail. That will be the part of the stomach. I'm going to add a zigzag in the ears because I want my fox to have a little white tip on his ears or her ears too. The next part is always the same. We're going to outline it just to make it a little bit bolder when we go ahead and add color in the background. We want our fox to stand out, so we're just going to outline with black marker or black crayon or whatever you have to make this drawing a little bit bolder. Remember, if you don't outline something and you want to redraw it, you can always use your marker to erase. Once you're done outlining, I'm going to go ahead and use markers and crayons for this. I want it to be a little bit bold in some areas, so I'm just going to take my marker and kind of outline right next to the black that I've done, and then I'm going to use the rest of my marker to color in. This is also going to remind me where to color on my fox orange and where to leave it white. It's kind of adding a little bit of shading. We call this value in art. Lightness and darkness, and so the darkness of my marker is going to help the fur just have a little bit more depth and dimension. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all the places that I think that need to be orange and leave the others white. I'm gonna add some on the outsides too. The next part, I'm just going to take my crayon and I'm going to color in where the orange I've marked off to color with my marker. I'm not really pushing hard. I kind of want it to be a little bit lighter than my marker. If you just have markers, you could use markers to color. If you just have crayons, you could do the exact same thing but just push down a little bit harder with your crayon like we did with the marker. So go ahead and start coloring those spots that you want to be orange on your fox. next part I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to add a little bit more value to my fox. I'm going to take my gray and I'm just going to kind of color in some of the spots just to make the fur look and appear to have a little bit of shadow. My fox is not flat. It has dimension. There's no really right or wrong way to do this. You can just practice. You could use a crayon. You could use a pencil even if you wanted to add the shading. The next part is going to be to add the background. So we're going to use a horizontal line that's not straight or curved. It's just kind of bumpy. And it's going to jump over our fox. So now our fox doesn't look like he's floating anymore. He's sitting there. We're going to add trees. You can add trees however you want, but just remember that they need to touch the horizon line and go all the way to the top of your paper, creating them in the background, making them look like they're farther away. Depth, the space, that's our element we're using. You can outline this with black marker. I'm going to make my trees look like they're really in the background, so I'm going to color them in like it's night and there's a shadow on them. If you have a different way that you want to do your background, you can, or you can try this way this week. I'm going to add some paw prints using my black marker in the snow, but first I want to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did with my gray marker that I did inside my fox onto the bottom part of that horizon line. This is going to make it look like it is snowy and there is some shadows from where the hills are in the snow. I'm going to take that black marker and go ahead and add my little paws. You can do the same thing by adding a circle and then 4 little smaller circles around it. Or if you have a different way you want to do a paw, you can. This makes it look like my fox has been walking around in the snow, leaving his or her prints. Now the fun part is the background. We're going to do an ombre or a value scale in the background. So I'm going to make mine look like it's night and that it's cold. So I'm going to start with my darkest color that I'm going to be using blues and purples and pinks like the sun is setting. I'm going to start with my darkest color and it's going to bump up right next to my horizon line. This is where the shadows are going to be the most prominent. And then we're going to add another shade. And notice how when I'm adding my next shade, I'm kind of going into the color that I just stopped coloring. So my light purple will go a little bit, I'll color on top of my dark purple just to blend it a little bit. If you don't have crayons and you have paint, you can do the same thing with paint. It'll blend really nicely too. And whatever supplies you have, just try to create the background. See how I'm blending it? I'm even going to put some of this in there. There's really no rules when you're doing this. The next thing is I'm going to be adding my next color. Same thing, blending it to the purple that I just put down, and then I'm going to be using my red, like the sun is just setting, my violet red, and adding that in too. There's really no right or wrong way to do your ombre background. If you want to do it in the daytime, you can. It's up to you. You could do a sunset or a sunrise, but go ahead and fill up your space in the background. If you had fun with this project, I'd love to see what you created, so please upload a picture and put it onto Canvas or tell me about it in a small, short video. If I see you this week in person, you do not have to do this lesson. You can just tell me what you did in person with me this week. Have fun.